Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to pull back the curtain on a simple economic rule that, believe it or not, is secretly running the show behind almost every choice you make. It's all about the power of thinking about just one more, and it explains some of the weirdest things we do.
So let's start with a puzzle. Have you ever noticed this? Someone will be absolutely sprinting up a flight of stairs, maybe to catch a train. But the second they get on an escalator, they just stop. They stand perfectly still and let the machine do all the work. It's a weird one, right? Why go from a mad dash to a dead stop? Well, that little mystery is exactly what we're going to solve today.
Well, it turns out economists have this little secret for making sense of puzzles just like this one. They call it thinking at the margin. Now, I know that sounds super technical and boring, but it's really not. It's just a way of making decisions by looking at the costs and benefits of the very next step you take. So to get a grip on the secret rule, we've got to break it down into two parts. Let's start with the good stuff, the benefit side of the equation. What do you actually gain from doing one more of something? This is what economists call the marginal benefit. That's the fancy term for it anyway. All it really means is the extra bit of good stuff, the satisfaction you get from just one more item or one more action. We're not talking about the total benefit, just the benefit of the very next one. The absolute easiest way to understand this is with pizza. Okay, so imagine you're starving. That first slice of pizza, it's heaven. It's incredible. That's a huge marginal benefit. The second slice, yeah, that's still really good. But the fifth slice, that extra joy you get is getting smaller and smaller with each slice. And this brings us to a really key idea, diminishing marginal utility. The benefit of that first slice is massive, but the benefit you get from each additional slice starts to drop off. The second slice is good, the third is just okay, and by the fourth, you might get no extra joy at all. And the fifth, that could even be a negative benefit. You know that I ate too much feeling? The one more just became a bad idea. But, every decision has two sides, right? For every potential benefit, there's always a cost. So let's flip the coin and look at the other half of this rule, understanding the cost of one more. And this, you guessed it, is the marginal cost. It's the extra cost to make just one more of something. And the key thing here, and this is super important, is that it's not the average cost of everything you've made so far. It's the specific cost of producing just the very next one. Let's say you've got a hot dog stand. To figure out your total costs, you'd add up the carts, your permit, the umbrella, everything. But what's the cost of selling one more hot dog? Well, it's really just the cost of the bun and the sausage. You don't have to buy a whole new cart for that single extra sale. So getting this distinction right is everything. Marginal cost is forward-looking. It's about the very next move. Average cost looks backward at the total you've already spent. If you mix these two up, you can make some really bad calls because you might think producing one more thing is super expensive when actually it's cheap and totally worth it. Okay, so now we've got our tools, marginal benefit and marginal cost. Let's head back to where we started and finally crack the case of the person standing still on the escalator. And some user on Reddit just nailed it. This is the whole aha moment right here. It all comes down to the marginal benefit. When you really stop and think about it, the extra benefit you get from walking up an escalator is, well, it's tiny. And here's where it all just clicks. The marginal cost, the actual effort of walking, is pretty much the same on stairs or an escalator. But the marginal benefit, it's completely different. When you walk upstairs, the benefit is huge. You get to the top instead of staying at the bottom. But on an escalator, the machine is already taking you to the top. The only marginal benefit of walking is saving a few seconds. And for a lot of us, that tiny little benefit just isn't worth the effort. And just like that, puzzle solved. So this isn't just about escalators, not by a long shot. This way of thinking is actually a super powerful tool for making the best decisions in pretty much any situation. It helps you find that perfect sweet spot where you're getting the most bang for your buck. So here's the rule you can use. As long as the extra benefit of doing something is bigger than the extra cost, keep doing it. Simple. The second the cost of one more becomes bigger than the benefit, that's your signal to stop. And that perfect, most efficient point, that sweet spot, it's right where the benefit of that next step is exactly equal to its cost. And trust me, once you start seeing this pattern, you'll see it absolutely everywhere. It doesn't just apply to pizza and escalators. It scales all the way up to huge business strategies and even government policy. Ever wonder about those buy one, get one half off deals? That's marginal thinking in action. Stores know that your marginal benefit for a second item is lower than for the first one. You just don't want it as much. So to get you to buy that one more, they have to lower its marginal cost to you by making it cheaper. They're using marginal analysis on you. This logic is hiding behind countless things. How fast should you drive? Well, you're weighing the marginal benefit of saving a few minutes against the marginal cost of a higher risk of an accident. Should a company make one more batch of headphones? They'll only do it if the price they can sell them for, the marginal revenue, is higher than the marginal cost to make them. It even helps us tackle massive societal questions, like how much we should spend to clean up pollution. In fact, it gets used to make literal life-or-death policy decisions. When the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is trying to decide on a new safety regulation, it does a marginal cost-benefit analysis, and as part of that, it has to place a dollar value on a statistical human life to weigh the costs of the rule against the benefits of saving lives. Back in 2006, that number was $7.4 million. So what started out as a funny little puzzle about an escalator ends up being this incredibly powerful way to think. Thinking at the margin isn't just some dusty old economic theory. It's a real, practical tool. And now, the secret's out. It's a tool for you to use. So now that you know the rule, the only question is, how are you going to use it? So think about it. Hitting snooze one more time, eating one more cookie, working one more hour. What one more decision are you going to rethink today?